Again, professionalism. I ooze it in no way, shape, or form. I'm gonna share that onto my regular page. Right post. Okay, that ought to do it. Okay, because when I clicked that off a while ago. That's not the one I'm clicking. I think it's that one. All right. So, just to update everybody what's been happening as far as trying to get this thing to look decent. I was hoping I could use my Nikon DSLR to serve as a camera, at least for this, because it's a decent camera. But there's no direct way to do it, and the interface I was using, it looked like garbage. So as bad as this looks, and I'm gonna zoom up to make sure I'm in focus, because every time I start the stream, it goes to shit again. As bad as this looks, it was 100% worse. So we're gonna have to stick with these crappy little ones for a little while. Does look like I could use a little more focus on there. Again, that looks a little better. So the only bright thing, I mean, I ended up buying an HDMI cord that supposedly could work with it, but it didn't work that way. And then I bought another USB cord with the little UC6 difference thing or whatever that they have for the Nikons to make it interact. That didn't work. So I apologize. This is what we got for now until I can figure something out, or till hopefully maybe I get that grant maybe. I don't know. Get out of here for a second. I wanted to use one of these. So now we're working on our bridge, right? We're going to work on that bridge there. Figure out what we want to do. It's a bunch of little markers we can use. That's like extreme close up, right? Try to pull it down. Let's see. Alright. Let's see. What are we going to work with? What do we got? And as I said, these two are really just what's supposed to be the mortar. We can work with pretty much, I think, some direct. Cobalt violet teal. You know what might work very nicely, actually? Where's my magenta? I think the magenta has a nice flavor to it. Oh, that's pretty. That's very pretty, isn't it? That's going to be a mess later. Even though I'm nowhere near it, I suddenly feel like the anal retentive. Well, there was the anal retentive cook and the anal retentive. What was the one where he's like a shop? Yeah, shop teacher or something. It was funny. God, I miss Phil Hartman. If you don't know who Phil Hartman is, because of your age or just because you weren't aware of good comedians, your life is sad. Tragic story, but how he ended up dying and everything. But if you don't know who he is, look him up. Look up the anal retentive chef and Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. Those are two perfect ones. I'm just gonna leave it at that. That's all I got to. That's all I got to say about that. All right, let's fix that up real quick. No, not Carmine. I do love that color, but that's not gonna work here. Magenta. Where the hell is my magenta? There we go. Naughty girl. Trying to run away from me. But I caught you. I caught you, Magenta. Use that. I think a dab of titanium white will be okay. Just a dab will do ya. Is that it's cobalt? We'll need that. Need cobalt. Cobalt blue. Get those in there. What else did I see in there? There was that badly named color, I think. Not there. Where is it? Flush tip. Let's go. Oh, there it is. I hate the name of this color. Said it before. Say it again. Stupid. Chicks dig it. My son asked me why I say that after I belch sometimes. And, I was like, it's just because it's literally the last thing most women would find attractive. I said, that's the joke. He's like, but why do you do it? I was like, because I find it funny. The implication that even potentially it may be why his mother decided to marry me is just perfect. Did you gotta focus again? I think it's about as good as I'm gonna get with this. Jesus, it's bad. I keep trying. It keeps going out. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. Is it any better? Go full freaking ophthalmologist. Better like this. Better like that. Better like this. Better like that. It's like the second I move it. It just keeps going out on its own. The one plus, I guess, out of my whole misadventures in trying to order some new. I'm going to use some of that cobalt violet too. We're going to use that too. Trying to order these new cords and everything. I did order a new tripod too, so now I have a tripod officially on both cameras. You can see one, you can see the other, right? So I'm not ghetto rigging it with a lamp anymore. Got at least one positive thing out of it. Well, actually, I think it's almost made me feel more squeezed in. Something I'm not really digging about this setup right now. It would make me feel a lot more comfortable if I could get like a camera that actually had some zoom on it and put it back there. That would make me feel a lot better. I thought I had it. But alas. It was such bad picture quality. I was trying. I was doing everything I could, looking at every potential mix or match of thing I could do on that damn system. What was the interface called? I'm just gonna look it up real quick. Here. It was like Digicam Control. That was the name of the thing, and it was bad. It's just terrible. So I thought I was gonna have a new follower. Somebody I was playing Rocket League with was like, "Hey, you streaming?" I was like, "No." I said, "Mine's a creative channel." He's like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "I'll follow you." I'm like, "Cool." Nothing. So I don't know. Maybe dropped in, saw my schedule, thought he'd come by, see what it's like. Who knows? I think Mike can't look right now because I believe Mike is playing himself. If I'm not mistaken, he was certainly a few moments He was playing earlier today. So, all right. So what we got here? We got a nice little mix of stuff we're gonna screw around with here. Pull these out. I was hosting. I don't know if anybody saw it. I was hosting Bob Ross on here a little while ago, and I actually kind of thought it was funny because the episode I'm watching, he was talking very much about, you know, his techniques being specifically for beginners, and he's giving people beginning way into art, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and he was right. I mean, that's the way his show was always about. I am being a little. Snooty the right term? I guess snooty's the right term. I don't know. My goal here is to get people who are serious about this thing. Now, here's the question. It's not 100% accurate. Again, as I said, these things are all sort of wacky. Yeah, we don't really need to follow this pattern. Again, if it'll come up cleanly, I don't know. If you can look in on that. There's a lot of choppiness in those bricks there. It's all over the place. There's really so much we can screw around with. And we don't need to follow that. And if we were to follow it, I think we'd be doing ourselves injustice to it in the long run, actually. So we can look more. One thing I want to make sure of is that we've got the right kind of patterning on that archway. That tiny little arch. So it's got like its own little thing going. And some choppy bricks and stuff. So, they're basically going to be more like that. And we can throw in a few. Like they don't have to be always right next to each other, but we're looking for a way to get this thing so it feels sort of natural, This one really should feel like Van Gogh's like Washerwomen, very famous painting from Arles. Yeah. And we're going to really get that feel out of this by the time it's said and done, I think. Now again, we'll be stopping tonight, probably about 8:45 or so. Want to get back in time for my Walking Dead. As much as I'll be honest, the show's become sometimes a bit of a chore for me. I've said it before. I'm a huge fan of the comics, and so as a fan of the comics, I almost feel obligated. I mean, they haven't done a terrible job transferring stuff. There's little bits that I don't understand that they've done. They don't make much sense to me. Other than I know, like I said, killing Carl. Spoilers, sorry, whatever. That was kind of a shit move. Wow, did I do that? Wow, I completely missed that, didn't I, last time? Have it right there. Am I stupid? We kind of just start to take these and go, kind of wherever. It doesn't have to be 100%. And we're going to have to kind of remix and go in there again with the mortar and try to get stuff to look at least sort of close. It'll give it a little thickness, give it a part, like, you guys have seen, any type of cement work or whatever, any bricks, or brickwork, I should say specifically. Like, if you've seen that, you know that there's parts where, like, the comes out a little bit, like a little bit of that cement. That's cool, that's what we're looking for. We're going to be trying to aim for stuff like that. This is an old bridge. fancy. You know, nothing's always like it's not all perfect. It's funny. I don't know much of the history of this bridge. I probably should look it up because it could be very well one of those things where they made it look much more uneven. And you know what? We're gonna take this whole the same blue. I'm gonna go back in here because I never did one for this area back here. This mortar, and at least for this part where it's darkened. We're gonna take that. It doesn't have to be the same color, you know. Um, but like it is very well may be one of those things where they tried to make it look older than it really was, so they made it look uneven and you know normal. I don't know, or it's very well its normal state, and that's how it was, and it's been there for 100 years. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I didn't look up any of the history of it. But the thing that cracks me up is that if it was, then that'd be kind of interesting because sometimes you know we look at things that are we believe should be one way when they're because they were older, but you know the older societies actually knew how to cut bricks and stuff pretty well. So yeah, it's that's why it always cracks me up when I ever see like Ancient Aliens or whatever that piece of shit show. It always wants to explain everything with you know aliens did it. Aliens did it. It's like you know humans have been inventive and ingenious for quite some time. Don't get me wrong, our species got its flaws, plenty of them. But when it comes to figuring out how to build shit, yeah, make creative things, we've had that down for a while. I mean, look, if you were to ask me, do I believe in extraterrestrial life? That is to say, there are aliens out in the universe. I will tell you absolutely, positively yes. There most certainly is. It is without a doubt in my mind. Mathematically, it's just absolute. There's just far too many goddamn stars in the universe. Just that we can see, for God's sakes. The ones we can't even, God, who knows, you know? Um, far too many galaxies, far too many stars that could potentially hold life on a potential third planet away from these stars. So to me, it's not a question of if there is. It's a question of is it intelligent or is it intelligent enough to find us? That's pretty much a resounding no. Time and distance between them are just so extreme. I doubt would have ever. Certainly not in our lifetimes. Because if it were to reach us in our lifetimes, it means they developed hyperspace travel, you know, forever ago, and that seems unlikely. Now that being, like I said, so that being said, I don't believe they've ever come here. I believe that turns out ancient people just like to build shit and they figured out how to do it. Not that this is anywhere close to building a pyramid or anything like that, but I kind of can point to when I was in college, we had an assignment that was to build a chair that was capable of holding a person out of cardboard in a 3D design class. We were given no instructions, explanations, or any of that prior to it. It was just here's your goal, figure it out. You know, the only thing they kind of hinted at us was that triangles work well, and that was about it. So what we ended up doing was we figured out, you know, many of our us that did a chair that actually worked. Um, it was about figuring out how to displace the weight. You know, either the base of your chair was made out of a bunch of interlocking triangles into a circular stool type, or like mine had two flat planes that were triangles pushing down. You know, with the point going down, flat top on top. Um, I'm just getting covered in blue. Yeah, is there a symphony in blue? Like this is Brian in blue. Um, the and then what I had was it would then feed out into another triangular formation that was redistributing that weight into a different angle. And the point I'm trying terribly to make is that, 90% of the class figured it out. You know, you eventually click and get stuff that maybe you didn't understand, but you sort of worked it out and you got there eventually. So this is going to be a lot like the trees in the sense that there's going to be a lot of working, reworking going into this. I mean, I could just sort of, and I probably should just sort of go up here and just start slapping and slapping. It just doesn't really matter because it doesn't. Honest to God, if you look at all these bricks, you know, there's some that are wonky sizes. There's some that are a little bigger. I'm really just trying to make sure that the space between them doesn't get too screwed up because I'd like them to. So I'd like to get a real mic boom and put it somewhere over here. That'd be nice. Anyway, so that way it's out of my working hand. My pain in the ass here. Put that on my lists. They're wonky sizes. They're not all the same. I just don't want to have to go back too much into trying to reline these up because that'll take forever. That'll just be a goddamn nightmare. We'll all be hating me at that point, myself included. I have enough issues with that. Let's see here. We can kind of go into this a little bit. We get a little bit of working into that, Yeah, no, maybe I should start doing Rocket League feeds. I don't know. Just to build up viewership. Like I said, I want to hold tight until I at least hear something regarding the grant application. Let's see here, we got stuff hit. It's gonna be hitting water. It's not like this isn't land it's touching. So whatever it's, if it's a little off, it's a little off. It's not a big deal. You kind of can get away with all that stuff. Another thing too is once we get into this brighter whites. I mean, if you looked at that when I held it up to the camera, you'll notice that there's a lot of space between whatever their bricks. That lighter tone. It's definitely like a reworking. It's new, and there's definitely it's kind of sloppily done. So we can work with that as a free space. Yeah, maybe. I guess we could just sort of bad enough. Now, again, I don't know who's baseball fans on here, if anybody's ever watching these, but as I've mentioned a few times, I'm a Phillies family man. You know, I mean that's our my family. It's been my family's bread and butter in a lot of ways for many many years, and I'm not kidding when I say that. Like my family has, you know, worked for the Phillies. My father started there in '93. Um, my wife was actually had started there. I think the year before we started dating. I think she started in '99. Um, so on our first date, she's, you know, we're talking. She was at the time working at the YMCA, uh, still going for her teaching degree over at Widener, and then, you know, she told me, she goes, "Oh yeah, and I also work for the Phillies. I watch the players' kids," and I was like, "Oh, you work for the Phillies? Oh, you should meet my father." And my dad had been there since '93. My brother had done a brief stint um, back at the vet days, I believe, right before he started becoming a cop. He'd finished up his you know, police academy. He hadn't gotten a job as a police officer yet, so he eventually got there. Uh, so he couldn't do the Phillies anymore once he became a police officer. All right, we're gonna use this as a little bit of arm rest. And then my father-in-law started, I believe, in 2006. I think that sounds right. He was doing security there. And then I started in 2010 because my youngest, who just had her birthday over the weekend, she was technically due on opening day. And my wife did not want to start, start the season on maternity leave. So she thought that was unfair to them, that, you know, they should be able to hire people to make up that difference or whatever. And, you know, so she said, "Look, your father's been telling you to go down there for a while. Why don't you go down there? You'll be able to work more, because in the players' wives' room or whatever, out of like 10 games, they might work, maybe 5, 6, right? Whereas as a host, if you work 10 games, if you're there as a host, you're supposed to work almost every game. You know, business person special, day game, they might be a little bit more lenient on you. But you are expected to be there as often as you possibly can be." So, you know, she was right. I work more hours, get more money out of it. So I worked there from 2010 through the 2017 season, and I couldn't go back because the movement that they did in my office, unfortunately, they had told me it was going to make my commute longer. It's about the same. Though, admittedly, the commute has gotten longer just because traffic, for whatever reason, has just gone through the fucking shitter. So, it is what it is. I didn't get to go back this year. But damn, our Phillies kicking ass suddenly. I don't know if anybody's been watching, man, but Jesus. Now, yes, they've been playing shitty teams, admittedly. Tampa Bay sucks. And if anybody's from Tampa Bay, when you see this, I'm not knocking your town, but you got to admit, start of the season, they're pretty terrible. Just saying. I don't think I'm stating anything controversial there. And then and they played the Marlins, and they probably should have swept the Marlins, but I think they just sort of, you know, they had a crazy game, 20-2 or whatever. It was like, you know what, just let them relax a little. I don't think they really went out there trying. So, that's starting to show. I guess it's starting to show up here a little bit. Now we're starting to see what we're going to be looking at. You know. I'm not even 100% concerned about the perspective of this, really. It's enough of an angle. I mean, there should be a little bit of noticeable angling on these. But think about it, as it's going up, we're going to be leveling out. And again, if these were straight, perfect bricks, yeah, that would be much more of an issue. But they're not. We're kind of everywhere with them. So we can just kind of plop them where I see fit. I'm just going to hammer out with this color for a little while, and then I'll go in and just trying to make them a little bit interesting. Yeah, ooh, that was a little too much on there. Big old chunk. Ooh, I took a little bit of extra linseed oil. A nice little moment there. Huh. Okay. Let's see here. Now, next week, as I said, this will be a much longer session. We'll be able to hang out here for a while. Hopefully with better picture quality than the last one. I figured out what happened. I did figure out what happened with why my feed was so bad last week, or last session, whatever it was. Was it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday, right? Computer was getting updates. Was downloading updates while that was all going on. I figured out once I finally decided, let me just reset the whole computer and see what was going on. And as soon as I clicked the power button on there, I saw reset and update, and I was like, yeah, there you are. That's what it was. Goddamn Windows update. Gets me every time. As bad as that was, like, my work computer is garbage. And that's not just me being pissy about work, because I don't like my work to begin with. But my work computer really is perhaps one of the worst computers I've ever had to deal with in my life. There was an update that got screwed up, I guess in June, or that might have been 2 Junes ago now that I think about it. It might have been before the breakdown. But it got screwed up, and it basically bricked my computer. And my IT guys in office were not always the quickest and sharpest guys in the shed. And so when they went to go fix it, they never quite got it back up. It does work, to a degree. Yeah, that was before the breakdown. I think about it. That was. It works to a degree, but my startup time, like I'm constantly getting in trouble actually at work because they expect you to be on the phones within a few minutes of logging in, and I can't. My computer takes a full half hour almost to start up and get running. So I have to constantly tell them, and nobody believes me until they actually watch my computer. And then they see it and they go, oh my God, it's terrible. And then they don't do anything about it because that's what my company does. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think I was just screamed at by the birthday girl. I love that little girl to death, but Jesus, this weekend has been rough. She has been quite the bossy little missy here. Just kind of put like a square one there for whatever reason. Whatever. Just throw some shit at the wall, see what sticks. Could put another one of these in here, maybe. Make it not go over though. I love her to death, but man, she was trying to test that love this weekend. I think she can be. My wife and I always say she's assertive. She knows what she wants, and she will demand it. And she liked to tell people it was her birthday today. This weekend. She had a cute little tea party. Their friends over, girlfriends. I think she had 7. I think it was 7 plus her, so I think it was a total of 8 girls. My son and I were banned basically from the upstairs. We hung out in the basement. I was out here for a little while playing with the cameras, trying to make them work, trying to make them look better. Speaking of, is that a focus cam? Son of a bitch, I think it is. It is. Son of a bitch. Let me do this again. You can see, I'm not going back here except for when I need to focus it again. So there's a slow degradation or something that goes on. Get out of focus again. I'll go back in there. Bald spot clear? That's how I can tell. The bald spot's clear, we're good to go. Now if you hear that thumping, that is her Missy. That is her Highness. Goodness knows what the hell she's doing up there. Perhaps many years from now she'll find an archive of this video and she'll laugh. God, I hope so. It was cute. We were looking through old videos and stuff, because that all pops up on the Facebook feed. This was today or on this day or whatever. So we're looking at all this old stuff. We're remembering actually, because again, 2010 was my first year at the Phillies, and we're remembering that actually the night she was born, or it was the night after. It was the night she was born. Yeah, it was a Wednesday. My wife had some blood pressure issues, and so I had to stay again out of work from the Phillies or whatever. And the news came in that there was a kid that had vomited on a little girl and her father, because his buddies had been drunk and stupid, and they got ejected, but he had been out getting a beer or whatever, so he thought that was an appropriate revenge strategy, I guess. And if I remember correctly, I think I had been moved into the area right after that happened too. So it was like the next rotation, I moved right out in that area. It was like, wow, this is where it occurred, huh? Nice. You get all types down there. As I said, my father had been there for years, so I had already heard tons of stories, and then my father-in-law as well. So I heard tons of stuff from there before I started. So I was not shocked by anything. Not really. Close as I could say I was to shocked was my first rotation, first Sunday game. It was a business, not business special. It was on deck series. So it was still spring training, but they moved us up to Philly because at the time we were still selling out like crazy. So it's better to sell 40,000 seats than the 20,000 you could sell down in Clearwater. So they brought them up here, sold out crowd. I was up in the 300 section, what they refer to as the war zone. And sometimes they call it Iraq, sometimes they call it Afghanistan, whatever. Everybody has their own little nickname, but it's always about how rough it is. That is a fight up there usually, especially at that time because when you had the Phillies doing well at a time period when really none of the other teams were really phenomenal. We got a lot of carryover from the outrageous Eagles fans. So people that were there were just looking for a Philadelphia team that would win. And it got some interesting people. And my first rotation, I had a father that was very, very drunk try to hand his probably 1 month old kid to the mother who was sitting behind him, because that's the way it was back then. I mean, you're selling out, you buy what you can. So they must have had tickets. I think they had like three in row 4 or 5, then the three behind him. And he went to hand the child to the mother and dropped it. And mother scoops the baby up, curses a clear blue streak at that father. I mean, if it had literally come out of her mouth, literally blue color had come out of her mouth, I wouldn't have been shocked. I mean, she was pissed with all sorts of good reasoning. And so she scoops the baby up, screams at him, runs away. And I kid you not, the father turned around. Like, he watched the wife go behind him, whatever. Turns back around, shrugs his shoulders, and takes a sip of his beer. I was stymied. I mean, and he's there with a buddy, and there was another child there, like probably about 8 years old. And so they continue there, and I had no idea what to do with it at that point, because can I throw him out? Maybe. It's like, it was his kid. It wasn't somebody else's kid. That's kind of one of those weird little moments, whatever I could do to him, I'm sure there was far more hell waiting for him back home. So, I just sort of sat there, and within a half inning they left. I guess he finally figured out, maybe she's going to be mad at me. But after that, I was like, I'm pretty much jaded here. There's nothing else that's going to come out of here in this ballpark that's going to shock me. And that's what it was, It was what it was. Somebody popped on here and then left. Son of a bitch. As I said, you get all types there, man. All types. And now many of my friends blame me for the Phillies sliding off in the past few years, because they, obviously won the World Series 2008. Then they went back in 2009. 2010, they got knocked out in the NLCS. 2011, they get knocked out in the NLDS. 2012, they were 500, I believe. Or they were just above 500. I think they were above. They were at 500. And then the 2013, I was in the press elevator for most of it, and I believe they had really done terribly that year. And then it started their losing streak, really losing record streak, and then they just started to kind of look like they were pulling out of that last year. And this year, they started off bad, with the Brave series, but they have shown some spark recently. There's a lot of saying right now going around in this town about trusting the process. Now, it's mostly in relation to the 76ers, but I think you can hold true to the Phillies too. So they've been waiting and waiting to bring up a lot of these young guys, and they've been coming up. I still would very much like to do a series of paintings based on my time at the Phillies. I need to talk with my former managers and stuff, and see if they'll allow me to maybe get a press pass Because what I want to do is take pictures in areas where employees can go. Um, they're not stuff necessarily that you guys as fans, if you're fans, but where fans could potentially regularly see. I'm not interested in doing paintings of the game and the players. That's not what I wanted to capture. I wanted to capture things like in the staff room, um, kind of before the game. There's especially on a Sunday. There's definitely a feeling of community. It's a family there, and it really is. You know, we hear about each other's births. When someone's uncles, cousins, relatives have baby. I mean, even to that point, sometimes it seems like we hear about them, and we hear about people's mothers dying, or sometimes employees, and that always sucks. It's just it's always heartbreaking. But admittedly, there was a fun one. I was gonna say. Yo, yo, Mike. I guess I don't have to type back, do I? Mic level low. Okay. All right. Let me try that again. See, I cranked it up too. See, this is where I'm getting into some sort of freaking issues. I'll crank that. Advanced audio properties. We'll do that one. We'll do this. Recording, microphone, levels. We'll crank. Better? Testes, testes. Oh, I'm mumbling. I assure you, I'm mumbling. It's hard, man. This thing's on the wrong side. I gotta get a real boom, like an actual stand boom or something I can actually put it over there and bring it across that way. It's not in my arm hand, like my painting hand. Thought about dangling it from there, but I couldn't get to stay without tilting the entire easel. All right, I cranked up the level, so even when I'm mumbling, it should be a little better. I can't get a good. If I try to monitor it with my headphones or anything, I end up delayed and it gets screwy. Becomes like echo back. How did your Illustrator work go? I couldn't really check it in too long because we were doing Sophia's family birthday stuff. So I didn't forget it. Problem was I was screwing with everything this whole weekend. I tried the DSLR to be a webcam, and it just was awful. The interface, there's no direct interface you have to use, so you had to basically had to use a program that would use it to capture, but you could live feed from it, and the resolution was so bad on the live feed, it just looked like crap. So unfortunately, and I was playing with everything else while doing that. So getting there. We're getting here with this. Now, where was I before I realized my mic sucked? But doing stuff out of the Phillies, as I said. Now I was going to talk about somebody. Yeah, we went to this funeral for a guy named John who worked at the Phillies. John was an awesome guy, and it's funny because we were after the funeral, we went to a bar together with a couple of the guys from the Phillies, and another John, this guy John Kreco, holds a beer up in the air. John Kreco was an older gentleman too, and he holds a beer up in the air. He says, "This one's for you, Johnny boy. You know, we know you're resting comfortably up there, and we'll be there soon enough." And it's me, my father. Who else was there? Sean. We're just all yo. Started over streaming and all. Ended up with better results. Ah, dude, that's cool. Okay, yeah. Stop streaming to go eat. Oh, that sucks. You didn't say. Oh, damn. You see, I had a bad issue the other night with my computer because it was doing an update, and it didn't tell me. It didn't give me any option to stop it. And I had, if you look at the video from last Thursday, from this past Thursday, whatever, it was awful. Awful. It's choppy, blocked out. The audio's okay. It came out okay, but there's nothing as far as what was being done. Yeah, because I checked in, and whatever you had on the screen looked pretty good at the time, but I couldn't stay because, like I said, stupid little brat wants to celebrate birthday. I didn't give her permission to get older. It's like the oldest brat. I didn't give her permission either. No, my mother's talking about how they had beer samples the other night, and they were, she was trying out different beers with them. And yes, I'm sharing that so you feel old too. To come up sometime, you can drink with me and Allie. Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm getting tired of talking. I get, I really got to figure out a way to have music playing in my ear or something. I know that I can't have it playing live here. I know people want to hear talking of some nature. I don't know. It's just there's a lot to do. It's so slow sometimes. I don't know how to fill it up. Other than garbage stories of telling people terrible things that happened at the Phillies. It's pretty much where all my good stuff comes now. Oh, come on. You'd have laughed. I actually got carded at her 21st birthday. She had it at the bowling alley right off of 352 in Chichester. It's like the AMC or whatever, It's supposed to be a really good bowling alley, let's put it that way. And it's got a bar in it. And so she wanted to go out there with her friends so that the friends that couldn't drink yet at least could hang out with her. And I show up at one point. I go to get a drink. The lady cards me. I was like, I'm here celebrating my daughter's 21st, so I hope. Okay, so now I was under the impression I couldn't get away with it. Because shit, I'll turn on Alexa right now. Yeah, Conchester, that's it. Yeah. So she had, I go up to the bar and they're like, "Can I see your ID?" I was like, "You're adorable." First off, I was older than the girl behind the bar, and then it's like, I'm like, I'm here with my 21-year-old daughter. That's cute. If you think I'm not of age, I don't know how math works in your world. I took it as a compliment, though. is where it gets awkward. It's like this middle area is just against this thing. Gotta do something. Okay. And the good question is whether or not she's had any beers with her grandfather after the game. Because that's like the fun stuff. Though I don't think they've been busy enough to really require that. Yeah. My thing is, unfortunately, kind of the kids cracked it on me. Like, do you mean like that, or like? I mean, because if I go like this, it's gonna drop out on me. I think. Vincent and his friends unfortunately killed a. Try that maybe. They had kept fucking with it when it was down near my computer, with the Mac or whatever, because that's in the same game, where the gaming stuff is, and they lost a few parts, so I've had to rig it up as best I can. So this whole operation's just sort of here right now, more so almost as an audition for the grant I'm hoping to work into this. What do you mean, like right here? But trying just to get enough in here that I can show them my plans, which will hopefully involve good equipment, not just a $20 mic and $20 cameras or whatever that I bought just to get it going. Been eyeing up some nice stuff. I hope. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, bend across the top. Yeah, see, I was trying to go over here more, but again, because it's, I can't get it. Because once it goes up here, like, you see, it just dies. It doesn't have any way to tighten it any farther up there, because they've lost the nut on the other side on me. So I can't keep it in a good spot. So everything's based on where gravity will hold it. What time we got, by the way? All right, I got about 15 minutes left. Seems there are some other viewers. Hello. Welcome. I don't know whether it's from hosting or what, but if you can see this, say hello. The goal of this eventually will be I'm working on ways to get the picture I'm working off of here up on somewhere everybody can download it. And the intention would be eventually to get everybody to start painting, submitting stuff, working on if not the same subject matter, similar subject matter, so we can then start to talk and critique and make this kind of like a real art school. Thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of work. If you go back and look into the older videos, I mean, there's probably 7 or 8 hours just dedicated to those, because it's working in, working over, working back into it. And this bridge is going to be a lot of the same. Hopefully we get that same type of vibrating kind of feel to it, where you can feel the bricks almost reflecting the same feeling as the trees. Well, we're getting there. It'll be the bridge is going to be a challenge. It's going to have lots of, because the bricks aren't even. There's not one single color to it. So right now we're just doing these. Going back in later with cobalt, magenta, pink, couple little mixtures in between there. I think actually, as I look at this, there's even some oddball like yellow ochres that we're going to be throwing in. So it's this bridge was a unique little spot. Used to be near my job. They moved my office, so I don't get to see this anymore. But it used to be a place where I could kind of go and relax after, during my lunch break on a shitty day. What are you doing? Apparently the echo wanted to chime in with a little beep. I'm trying not to say its name because otherwise. Anybody else have one of these things and have it go off on them? You know what, dude? Honestly, you could. It's just practice. It's just a lot of time. I think some people just think that that there's something unique in this, and it's not. And I'm not trying to downplay myself or anything either. It's just that if you just work on it, you start somewhere, and just go, you'll do it. Now, I like to, and I've said many times, like, if you ask me, I've tried to turn my kids away from at least being obsessed with art. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And that's fine too. I mean, that's fucking awesome. I mean, like, I love music. Actually, the drummer for my band from high school is on here too. We've been friends for years, and he'll tell you, I have a horrible ear for it. I suck at it, and I wish I could do it better. And I know kind of it's just like I'm saying with this. It's a lot of practice, but unfortunately with me, my practice went here. It couldn't go to the other one. I find myself only able to focus really on one creative element at a time, I guess, in a real sense. Yeah. There he is, Mike. And like I've talked about, like, I used to try to draw comic books, and when I try to draw comic books, I can't paint, and vice versa. If I were to try to start sketching like the character I created with a friend of mine, it'll come out like garbage right now, and it's just because my brain goes with one to the other, and they sees them as separate paths entirely, Yeah, that's Mike. What's that blacked out up there? Oh, okay, I don't know what that was. That's weird. But I don't have too much time left. I want to get some of the notes in for the other colors soon, so I think I'm going to just ship this one out and get that done. It's wet, so I don't have to worry too much. I don't need to clean that very well either. Just to get some of these extra tones in there. I think we're gonna baseline that. Give it a little blue into the magenta. So I got that lighter cobalt blue going into the magenta with a little titanium white. Give it a nice little tonality here. Yeah, I think that's nice. That's gonna have some nice colors. already following Mike, you should go join his channel too. He does a lot of cool stuff on there. And eventually we'll be drumming up there too. Honestly, I don't remember. Was it Newegg? No, Newer. What the hell? Newware? I bought it probably a year and a half or two ago, and it was solely for trying to do like just some random stuff on my computer. I was trying to program at the time, and like make my own games and stuff, and I was trying to use just it for sound effects, whatever I had to load, and I had it just sort of sitting on my desk for a while, and kids broke a few parts off and had to hardwire stuff together. Whatever I could get to make it work again. As I said, it doesn't have much in the way of gravity. I can't seem to. They lost a nut here, so. I hopefully will be able to replace it with a really decent one. Either through sales of a painting sometime or through I've been applying for some grants and stuff, so I'm in the process of them. I haven't applied it yet. I have to get finish up all the essays and crap and financial sheets or whatever they want to say to show what you'll do with the money. But I'm in the process. Right now, the only thing I can say is it's an in the way microphone. I mean, it sort of shows what the studio looks like from here. All right, there's nothing really. This is all like stored shit from my family, and so it's like I don't really have anywhere I can hook this up to on that side. And I'd like it away from my painting arm. So, probably go out and buy a cheap, like, mic boom or whatever. Like George's Music or something. Guitar Center or something. Some point. I'm still trying to figure out most of Twitch. I'll be honest. I click that real quick. Oops. I'll close that. That started out there. Well, I just followed your page, so hopefully I can spot it there. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right, put a little bit there as it's hitting the water. Yeah, that's what we've got. We've got a little bit of space there. So now see. You know what it needs? It needs. Where to put it? Where to put it? There we go. There we go. A little purple on the microphone now. It's probably best if I don't put a good microphone in here. Holy shit. It's now a little cobalt violet. Oh no, I'm sorry, magenta. Cobalt mix there going on. Microphone, that's what it is. Alright, let's put a little bit of that. Get some darker cobalt. Get some balance. You should have heard it the other night. I had both the microphone on and the desktop microphone, whatever, the laptop's microphone going. Nothing but echoes. Thank God Mike came on and pointed it out to me because I didn't notice it when I went on doing all my tests earlier. That was that Wednesday, I think? Yeah, I think that's what I need to eventually. I hope to be able to afford it. Right now, it's a matter of, unfortunately, everything's a choice between. Can I afford to pay for, a new mic or new paints and canvases? And if the canvases started selling, then I can do that. I could get the new equipment. But right now, it's a matter of either the canvases got to start selling. I got to hit the and get that grant, or I just got to live with what I got for a little while. We're just getting my shared driveway, when my neighbors worked out a deal where we can all get our shared driveway repaved, but it wasn't something we were planning on, and now it's $1,000 that we just had to put out because it's literally my neighbors that we share the twin. 2, 3, 4 houses down that way. It's like I don't want to be the guy right smack in the middle that doesn't actually have it wasn't part of it, didn't get it done, and I want to make sure that we get, because our back driveway is bad, and right now we're probably one of the worst parts of the driveway. So I said, you know what, we'll figure it out and we'll work at it. It would have been $1,000. I would have rather have been able to put something into this, but at the same point, like I said, I can't be the guy that didn't get it done. Especially because with it all getting done at the same time, it'll all be sealed up together, nice and neat, and it'll hold a lot longer. It's the joys of home ownership. All right, popping a few more of those magentas. All right, back in here next to each other. And actually, I'm going to have to call it quits, guys. For tonight, at least. Walking Dead's coming on, season finale, But next week, we'll be in here very late. probably till at least 10 o'clock, 10:30. And then, maybe if I just get like a little standard straight up cobalt. How's that going to look? That don't look too bad. Certainly not in this dark area. It looks pretty good. Yeah. Alright, yeah, we're going to stop here. We'll be back at it tomorrow night. After I take my son to karate. So, alright, guys. That'll be it. We'll keep at it and get this done. Hopefully, as much as there is still to do, hopefully I can get at least the darker part of the bridge, the older mortar, done. And then I got to remix for the lighter part to make it look like it balances out right. So, alright, guys. Have a good night. Looks if I hit the right button.